We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
This I'm happy to be back on Air Dance. What's going on, Facebook world? What's going on, YouTube world? It's Jack the Cigar Enthusiast, and I'm back with another banger. Now, I don't want to hear nothing about all y'all smack talking on where I've been and what I've been doing, because I'm going to update you guys on that. But let me get through my introductions first, okay? Hey, man, if you're new to the channel, man, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell, and give us a huge thumbs up. And if you're watching on Facebook, don't be the only one to have this amazing content at the tip of your fingers. Man, go ahead and share that out to the rest of the world. Create a watch party. Do something, because we got some major news about to drop for you guys, man. I've been excited. Now, let's get to the down part. I haven't been on air in 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks. 3 weeks, all right? I don't need no crucifixions. I don't need to go to no cross. I don't need no stones thrown at me or anything. But it's been a long 3 weeks. Let me just tell you that. It's been a long 3 weeks. A lot of planning, a lot of development in the next project. Obviously, if you don't know, into my personal life, I did join a fraternity, so I've been overwhelmed with that as well. Just been overall freaking busy, okay? But I'm back to be back with you guys, man. We got a next couple of weeks is this action-packed. We got Rocky, we got Robert Caldwell. Tonight, we have Joshua Habusky. Yeah, I gotta pronounce that. Habusky. All right, on air with us today. Glynn, unfortunately, was not able to join us due to emergency that happened with him right before going on, man. So if you don't know how we operate on the Virtual Smoke Day, man, hit that comment box, smash on that comment box. If you have any questions, put it in the comment box, man. Our first comment box goes to D-Hub. I am very disappointed with this guy, okay? Let me just tell you why. This scrub comes into my inbox today talking all this stuff about the Aints and how the Aints is going to beat the Eagles and all this, yada, yada, yada. But let me tell you what happened. The Eagles beat the hell out of the Aints today. I mean, just destroyed them, all right? Just destroyed them. So I don't want to hear no Saints fans. Y'all better not come on here, because I'm going to just start singing the fight song in the middle of everything that we got going on. So, yeah, again, I don't want to hear it. Outside of that, man, we got an action-packed show for you guys, man. Me and Josh were talking in the background a little bit, and we got some news, man. We got some news. Hey, PCA update. This is our end-of-the-year PCA update that we like to do, and we're going to start doing hopefully on a quarterly basis, just to kind of keep us abreast with what's going on, so we know as cigar enthusiasts, as cigar folks, how to, whatever. Yeah, whatever. I don't want to hear nothing about it. Wasn't rigged. It wasn't nothing. Y'all just sorry. Sorry. I got to go back to my my actual talk. But man, we got some action-packed stuff for you guys, man. Again, like I said, we're gonna try to do this on a quarterly basis, where we just update all the consumers on what they need to know, all the retailers on what they need to know, so we know what to fight against in this war against cigars, literally. So with that being said, man, we're gonna get this show on the road, man. Coming to you from I don't know where, because he's always on the run. He stays moving around. Actually, he has a lot of things going on, man, and I'm so proud of this guy. Got to meet him back in April, I want to say it, and we just been friends, man, and just locked in. It's just genuinely love. And bring it to the stage, our guest of the honor, our guest of the hour, our guest of honor, Joshua Habusky. What's up, champ?
Thanks, Jack. I feel though that introduction, we got a lot of hype now. I'm ready to go.
We ready to dive straight into this thing, man. How's everything been? Talk to us.
Going very well. It's busy as usual. We're definitely got a lot of exciting news in the legislative front, the PCA front. Things that have been keeping us very occupied and busy throughout the year. Finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a big battle with these taxes all across the board. And, you've been, as a PCA member, you get all the emails. This is what's going on. We've been playing chess for many months now, but it's been exciting, and we've seen a lot of success from it. I won't dive right into the tax thing to start off. We'll slow roll into it, but that's certainly something that we want to talk about tonight.
Man, that's a fact, man. I mean, everything going on, man. I mean, our world is steady on the edge. I mean, we never know what's going to be the outcome. We never know if things are going to be good. We don't know if things are going to get worse. And we're just hoping that we can get it all to stay together, right?
Yeah. Well, and fortunately, this year has been a strong year, for the organization, for our members. If you track and see the import numbers of cigars, the regulatory stability has been there because of past lawsuits that PCA and CRA have been involved in. And so far, and November 21st, this whole year, there has been no tax increases at the state or federal level in all 50 states. So I don't know when the last time that's happened.
Absolutely. Well, that's a dedication to y'all hard work, and y'all doing straight doing the mission, right? Being a military guy, we're all about executing the mission, man. That's just execution of the mission. I don't really care what people really has to say, but I mean, we're just doing great things, man. What's up, Kevin? Just doing great things, doing great work, and taking the time out to do it right the first time, right? We got, obviously, everybody knows, if you don't know about the infamous Dick Durbin, that guy is just always stirring up some BS, but we're going to leave it at that, because we try to keep it as clean as we possibly can, especially with the reputation.
To dive in there a little bit, one of the things that not into the Durbin stuff, I think it's important to note there. The bill and the tax increases that we were talking about, it started at the beginning of this year in March. There was a standalone piece of legislation that was introduced called the Tobacco Tax Equity Act. Then it was introduced again as a maternal health bill. So two standalone pieces of legislation. And then the most recent was included in the reconciliation package, which just, otherwise known as the Build Back Better Act, which just passed the House of Representatives. So previously, over the past 2 months, in the House Ways and Means Committee, they had inserted this tobacco tax equity in there. That would mean $2 to $3 federal tax hike on premium cigars, 1,600% on pipe tobacco, around 1,000% for premium cigars. So $50 to $60 a box of cigars, dramatic tax increase. And, we were able to mobilize and effectively get things going across the board. We had the most number of consumers write in for a PCA campaign, over 30,000 consumers. Retailers such as yourself got involved and were able to mobilize and muster consumers to write in. We've conducted 150 meetings at the federal level, opposition letters, white papers. We really threw the kitchen sink out of this. And I think that's a really, really important thing.
Absolutely. Before we dive into all the fun stuff that we love to talk about, man, let's talk about all the winning you've been doing this year, man. Like, not only did we come out with the El Politico, right? Tell us a little bit about that, Josh.
Yeah, so this was a fun project. I worked with Luciano at the beginning of this year, went to Nicaragua and visited several of the factories and farms. I wanted to gain a better understanding of the industry at large. So, he was incredible. And if you've ever had spent time with Luciano, he truly is a master of his craft, taught me so much about the inner workings of the premium cigar industry from not only the manufacturing perspective, but understanding the taste profiles, pairings, a lot about the overall cigar culture, which had some of the surface level understanding, but had that deep dive through that trip. and we decided to do a project of blending a cigar together. And to his credit, it was predominantly Luciano blending this cigar. I had some of the creative ideas and kind of mentioned to him, all right, these are my 3 favorite cigars. I want a little bit of this. I also want it to be accessible to people that have a cigar for the first time and won't get sick about it. We kind of want to gradually bring people into that. So it's been a great, business card. It has my name presented by Joshua Habusky on the inside of the band. And for folks that I see, in the lobbying realm and in the cigar world, if I, go and visit your shop, Jack, that's what I'm bringing. Instead of a business card, it is a premium cigar that matches my, taste profile and personality.
That's a freaking amazing, man. You actually gifted me one of those cigars while we was at PCA in July. And, I wish I would have let it click because I have one in my humidor. So I'm thinking I'm going to set this Sombra Mesa down, and I think I'm going to pull it out. And I think it only makes sense to go ahead and smoke the cigar. Now, this is the part, though. This is the part. I have to find it. So I'm going to let you keep going while I go through my first shelf of trying to find it. But I know it's here somewhere.
Well, and it's one of those things, we really wanted to, put this together and are now kind of going phase 2 of the idea. It's going to be something where we're going to raise money for our advocacy, efforts through the sale of this cigar. And into next year, I just worked with Luciano last week on finalizing the box design. And it will be one of those cigars available on the PCA product hub where our retailers are going to be able to, get those, carry them in their stores and raise money so that we can continue to do the good work, not only at the federal level where I'm operating at, but at the state level where Glynn is also doing a lot of work.
I mean, that's freaking amazing. To have something that is just, taking off on. I'm trying to look for it, and if it's on the other shelves, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to pull those out because those are kind of stashed away. Okay.
We'll have to get you another one. I would love to send you one.
Oh, hey, look, and I would love to receive it. So, Josh, I mean, not only have you been in the manufacturing role where you have your own kind of product line now, and now you're seeing the tenacity it takes to actually build upon a cigar line. But now you're also a part owner into a cigar lounge, man. Go ahead and tell us about that too.
Yeah, so that's a recent development. I got involved with Embassy Cigar Lounge, which is in Quantico, Virginia. It's funny, I worked a 12-hour shift yesterday behind the counter. It's my weekend job. And there's a great team of eight partners over there. It's a very small cigar lounge, principally catering to the military, and a lot the Marine Corps there, the FBI, is close by there. So it's something that I was always interested in doing and learning about from that side, so that I can understand where our members are coming from and the challenges that they face. And, employment right now and staffing levels is an issue for retailers across the country. And Absolutely. That's why a lot of us partners are having to come and, handle the shop for the entirety of it. I want to learn as much as I can about this industry and soak it in like a sponge. Yeah. I want the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the above. But I can go in and confidently say in these meetings, when I'm meeting with elected officials, that, I'm one of the only people that is a lobbyist and advocate that has paid the OTP tax, that has paid the user fees for importing. So, bringing those perspectives to the table, I think is really important to get a firm grasp of not just, surface level. I've advocated. I've been a lobbyist for 10 years, but I've never been so passionate about an issue as premium cigars because, frankly, it's my hobby, it's my passion, my free time, and I'm willing to, invest my time and what limited resources that I personally have into seeing it grow and thrive. I've gotten to do a lot of fun projects already with the lounge. Steve Zangle from Los Cayetos, who donates $1 for fallen firefighters and fallen police officers with his cigar. That's a cigar that I brought into the lounge that wasn't previously there. We did a fantastic event with Steve, and those types of things. It's very limited. It's a small scale, very small operation, but it's one that really excites me.
Man, that's freaking amazing, man. I'm excited. I was telling you before, how only a little bit of time you can see people's progression, and if you can't see nobody's progression in just a little bit of time, then you're watching the wrong person. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about everything that you're doing, Josh, man, it's nothing but kudos, right? Now there's going to be people out there that you can't satisfy everybody, right? You can't make everybody happy. You can't do everything right for everybody, and unfortunately, it's one of those things where we just hope that we all realize that through time and efforts, the efforts and the time has to come from both directions, man. So we'll jump into a couple of things later, but Darnell asked a question. Josh, where can we keep an update on the latest legislative actions being presented into law?
Absolutely. So, premiumcigars.org. If you are a retailer, obviously our magazine, we're putting out a lot of information there, but we're transferring a lot of that over to our public blog because we are getting more consumers that are tied to the retailers, our retail members, to get that information out there. Additionally, cigaraction.org, that's our advocacy site. We just did some wholesale updates. We are, and I really wish Glynn was on the show as well. Glynn is doing a lot of work now, and I'm assisting him as backup along with Ryan Parada, our new recent hire. We're working to prepare for 2022 and the state legislative cycles. One of the bills that was most recently introduced in Florida is, again, that bill that would prohibit people from smoking in public beaches, public parks. It was one we were able to defeat last legislative cycle, and we're mobilizing once again. So for folks in Florida, for folks that are customers of yours, Jack, I would encourage them to go to the state page of Cigar Action. They can take action on that alert now as they're listening to us have this discussion.
And then that's Florida Smoke Action.
So it's cigaraction.org, and then it will be the state button on there, and that will be the alert that's available.
I'm gonna get that.
I can send that.
I'm gonna get that put into the comment box so people can look at that as well, because I think that is something that we definitely need to. I mean, I don't get what they have. I mean, are they doing the same thing for cigarettes? Like I don't understand it.
It's for all tobacco products. That's what this particular legislation applies to. We've had things where it was introduced where a premium only exemption was there. This go around, it makes a lot of sense to fight it. On the onset. It's very possible it could pass the Senate and get stalled in the House, the State House. So Glynn is working with the folks, our retailers on the ground in Florida, to ensure that we're fighting back against that. Last year, Marvin Holzhauser, one of our PCA board of directors members, testified. We prepped him for that, and we'll likely have someone testify if there is a committee hearing again.
Now, is this the Streamlined Tax Collection and Support AB 389?
That is nope. It's a different one.
Okay, so I'm not seeing that one on here. So whenever you get it, just let's shoot it to me so I can get it out there for everybody to see. That way we are abreast on that, man. So diving into like legislation. So obviously this is like a great segue into this, because I want to see, like, obviously this is something that we already fought through the previous legislation in Florida, and I think this is kind of one that's kind of stupid for Florida, because it just doesn't make sense, knowing that all the cigars that touch the United States pretty much comes through Florida. How do they keep with the recirculation of these legislators, even if they previously didn't pass?
Well, you have a very, very well-funded opposition that's out there. The anti-tobacco groups that are funded by these Bloomberg Philanthropies and other organizations. They are out there. They are active. They have many times local lobbyists in major cities, even regional emphasis, but states at the federal level certainly. And they're out there, much like we're trying to defend premium cigar. The premium cigar industry, they're out there trying to attack all tobacco products. So they are working to introduce those bills. Fortunately, this year we went on the offensive. We had several key pieces of legislation at the state level that passed and have been positive. These are ones that, like in Michigan, the tax cap was preserved in perpetuity. Dave Jessup did a great job on the ground working in Michigan, along with the Michigan retailers. They really came together. That's a big win. That's one of the oldest tax caps that are out there. And then most recently, on Thursday or Friday of last week, North Carolina signed into law a 30-cent tax cap. One of our other board members, Todd Johnson, who's a sitting state senator, did a lot of work on that, as well as Craig Cass, who, if you're ever in North Carolina, Craig is a wonderful wealth of resource and somebody that has mentored me. I visited his shop, a couple years ago, and kind of gave me the run of the land.
Uh-huh. So how does Florida currently have a tax cap put in place already?
So Florida, Pennsylvania, and New Hampshire.
We don't have.
Yeah, we don't have an OTP tax.
Yeah.
So, but other states that have higher ones, like New York, we're looking and working with the New York Tobacconists Association to introduce a tax cap there.
Got it.
Makes sense. 2022 is going to be a challenging year for that, especially because the federal tax hike, it looks like that's going to be defeated. We didn't know that it was going to be defeated 2 months ago. It was a very active campaign that required a lot of time, attention, and resources. But, fortunately for that, we were able to get past that. But I expect there are going to be a lot of tax increase proposals introduced in 2022 at the state level. And Glynn and I are preparing for that.
Now, are y'all doing any work to try to get cigars separated from OTP? Because for a lot of people that may not know what OTP entails, it not only entails tobacco, cigars, but it also entails vape. It also entails hookah and shisha and stuff like that. So anything that's not categorized, like cigarettes, and I think pipe tobacco is categorized too, right?
Yep. And the definitions of OTP vary in different states. So vapor products might not be included in certain states, and in certain other states, they are included in it. So, we are first and foremost the Association for Premium Cigars and Pipe Tobacco. That is our bread and butter, and we're fighting to provide an off ramp for those products as much as we can. That's our focus. Anytime that we're working to introduce legislation, it will apply to those products. There's negotiations with the political system, and we will oftentimes try and get the best result that we possibly can. That's an area where Glynn especially is taking the lead. He has got 13 years plus experience doing a lot of that hard advocacy at the state level when he was with Cigar Rights of America, and really has perfected his craft. So we're taking his lead on what is to come in 2022, where we want to introduce pieces of legislation, carve-outs, or things that address the categories at large.
Right. That makes so much sense, because at the end of the day, I know it was 2019. We got the definition of what a premium cigar was, which then will allow us to get into the circuits of being able to kind of differentiate ourselves from the other OTP product lines, correct?
So yeah, the definition of a premium cigar is now something that was used by the Food and Drug Administration. So that was in the substantial equivalence and pre-market review final rules, which were actually released this year, formally adopted this year. In the change of administration, the final rules were delayed. So now the FDA is using it. In the previous court case, it was also cited. So we do have an 8-part definition of a premium cigar. And that's something that we leverage, effectively. Furthermore, not only are we using that definition, at the federal level, but also in the states when it's appropriate. But we are in the midst of a health and research study of the Food and Drug Administration contracted the National Academies of Sciences and Medicine to do a comprehensive study on the health effects and usage of premium cigars. I've presented that. Drew Newman, several other stakeholders have provided comments or input into that study, but that kind of opened the door up. And the opposition, those groups that I was referring to earlier, they've come in and said premium cigars don't exist. That's a term that was invented by the industry as a marketing tactic. So there's contention there. This study will inform further research and inform further regulation by the Food and Drug Administration. That will be released next year. So it's something that we are closely watching and engaging with the committee members.
And that should be very interesting. I think to be able to prove the scientific reaction to smoking premium cigars to be interesting. I know that's one that when you talk to a doctor, they'd be like, "Oh, well, it's still tobacco, blah 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 blah," but it's not the same, right? You're digesting tobacco through your mouth, but you're not digesting it through your lungs. So it's something that should be very interesting to read. I think that is going to be great. So Joshua was talking about the new legislative update that you're providing the PCA prior to, man. Let's hear more about that.
Yeah, so in that legislative update, we're going to talk a lot about this tax increase. That was something that definitely took up the majority of my time over the past 2 or 3 months. That was, we were doing 5-6 meetings with congressional members. We had a 2-pronged strategy of engaging with both the House and Senate. We were a firm opposition to this tax from the very beginning, when I mentioned, in March of this year. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what happened, kind of do a deep dive, almost like your Sports Center or ESPN kind of play-by-play of how it happened. What are the lessons learned? What are ways that we can improve? What went right? What went wrong? So that's going to be the legislative update that we give this Tuesday. Also kind of talk about some of the surface level stuff in the states. Again, major win in North Carolina, major win in Michigan. Those were recent developments. Also, we now have the reintroduction, and I'm very excited. I believe it's up to 40 members of Congress, but the Congressional Cigar Caucus, a formal caucus within the House of Representatives, was approved by the House administration. We had a launch event last week, along with some of the other stakeholders in the cigar industry. Several members of Congress were present, and we now have this vehicle not only to host events and talk about cigars, but to really craft policy and advance things moving forward. This is co-chaired by Representative Dan Muser out of Pennsylvania, and Representative Tom Emmer from Minnesota. So they've come together and got a really great group of people that want to advance and protect the interests of retailers, manufacturers, farmers, as well as consumers. I think that is going to be an important step as we look into next year and the next few years on the legislative calendar. We're already talking about working with them to introduce a bill, which has been done in the past, that would get rid of the prohibition of manufacturers being able to donate cigars to our service people abroad. So that's something that, Cigars for Warriors has done a really great job with. So legislation like that, and then ones that affect retailers that might not necessarily be tied to tobacco. So really opening up and broadening the playbook.
So when you say retailers that's not particularly including in tobacco, you're talking about like wood companies, like to make the humidor boxes, latches, and different things of that nature?
Yeah, we're talking about really expanding the issue areas. So, for instance, as a retailer, you might be interested in employment actions that are taking place, or federal requirements, anything that takes time away from you to be able to conduct your business as you see fit. We want to make sure that we're being involved in these broader coalitions of retail groups that are fighting some of those challenges that apply to small businesses across the board.
That's amazing, man. I'm just kind of amazed by all the behind the scene things that goes on with the political world, man, and how political it gets. Talking about the tax increase, we were facing 1,000% increase on taxes, and supposedly it was going to generate close to what's like $1 billion or something in tax dollars to help build back the economy or whatever the case may be.
$97 billion was
97
was the projection over 10 years.
So my focal point is, if over 10 years we were going to get $97 billion, are they not really looking at how many employment opportunities will be lost? How many companies will go under? How many families wouldn't eat anymore because of this astronomical tax increase? Or was it just, hey, we have a way to get $97 billion in 10 years. We should really look at this, versus how many people are going to go out of business because of this tax increase?
Well, it was something, it was meant to raise revenue for the plan. There were a lot of different, taxes that were introduced in the Build Back Better Act. This was the one that we were focused on. There were some other provisions that dealt with international taxation, which may affect some of the manufacturers, but we were laser focused on these tobacco tax equity provisions. And it was our job to tell that story, as you mentioned, Jack, the impact that it would have on real people, consumers, retailers, small businesses, employees. And, I mentioned we're going to talk a little bit on Tuesday about the overall campaign. One of the things that we were able to do and I believe it was about a month ago, we conducted an international forum on premium cigars, the first of its kind. It was an idea that I had. I wanted to do one in Washington, D.C., invite people from around the world to come and talk about the positive attributes of premium cigars, the charitable work that's being done, the economic impact, things like that. Unfortunately, because of the travel constraints internationally with the pandemic, we decided to do it virtual. It was one of our most widely attended, forums that we've conducted as PCA online. We had, 2 U.S. senators, bipartisan, Senator Robert Menendez from New Jersey and Senator Marco Rubio from Florida. They provided keynote remarks. We had the ambassador from Honduras. We had the trade and industry minister for the Dominican Republic. And, it wasn't something that was scripted. We had 2 panels of industry greats like, Carlos Fuente, Lito Gomez, just one of the best productions that we were able to put on, and not scripted at all. The Dominican trade minister came on and said, if you pass this tax, and this again was an audience of not only our industry but policymakers in the Dominican Republic, after year 1, we will lose $400 million or $600 million and 40,000 jobs. So we took that clip, and it was Spanish with English subtitles, and we sent that to every single congressional office and said, this is going to be an issue that is beyond the borders of the United States. It could lead to negative impacts on immigration, migration, and economies in Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic, and Honduras, and other cigar-producing countries. We had the Director General of the European cigar manufacturers talk about what's going on in Europe. And it's crazy to see over there, between Europe and Australia, New Zealand, we have it very good here in the United States, and the advocacy apparatus of CRA and PCA, we've been able to get some dramatic wins. Whereas if you look abroad, they've had a lot of challenges, even more so than we have with the FDA. But they still are doing a lot of great work, and it was good information sharing where, hey, this worked here in the United States, you might want to try this, and vice versa.
So, looking at it from, the impacts it has in other countries, does our policymakers really care about the impact that it will have in other states and, other countries?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. A lot of this is different arguments. We, over the course of this campaign, produced, 10 reasons why you should oppose the tobacco tax equity. And we have to identify what argument resonates with individual members of Congress and staff. Some of them might care a lot about immigration. Others might care a lot about small businesses or employment. And things like that are important to tailor based off of the audience. And, one of the other things that we really harped upon a lot was, President Biden made a commitment not to tax people or households making less than $400,000. And we know that, and looking at off of the data, that premium cigars are the great equalizer. You go into a lounge and you will have people from all different walks of life. You'll have people that, work in retail, work in, small businesses, work at a gas station, or doctors, lawyers, police officers, firefighters, you name it. So it would disproportionately affect people in that category of making less than $400,000, households making less than $400,000. So that was something that resonated with the White House, and we had those interactions and emphasized that point.
So I'm going to ask a very basic question, but I think it has a lot of impact. What was the argument on how it affected the United States and small businesses in the cigar industry in the United States?
Well, there was a study that was conducted by NATO, the National Association of Tobacco Outlets, and we actually they gave us, and with permission, the ability to use their study, and it determined that basically if this tax were to go into effect, you as a small business owner would lose 10% of your sales. That it would be so prohibitive that you would lose annually 10% of your sales. And it would get worse because the tax was adjusted for inflation. So the tax the first year, and they were making some kind of crazy arguments. Again, in the Build Back Better Act, this was introduced in a House committee to raise revenue. And they were saying that they would raise more revenue every single year. And we know that's not true. If the cost of goods is higher, you are going to lose people, lose a consumer base that won't pay those higher prices, or Absolutely. They will consume less of the product. So we said you can't have it both ways. You're either going to raise the revenue or you are going to lose out on and affect small businesses negatively.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, interesting philosophies to really look into, because you have so many people just looking at how can they make money? How can they make money? How can they make money? And that's one thing that's hard for me as not only a small business owner, but somebody that pays a large substantial amount of income tax and state taxes and all of this stuff. It's hard for people like me to really see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, how much more do you want to take? How much more do you really want to look at and say, okay, well, we can get this out of this? I mean, I just kind of seeing how, pipe tobacco is sold in Florida. It's like the second highest in the United States. You're talking 86% or something like that on pipe tobacco. That if the tobacco costs $10, you're paying out the door $20 to get it. Yeah. Or 18 for that matter, or whatever the case may be, just to get it, to sell it. So if you're looking at it from a cost perspective, and it's like, yes, inflation is happening. We're seeing it happening with the housing market. We're seeing it happen with interest rates. Interest rates are dropping. Housing market is inflating. And then now what's going to happen once the inflation on the houses come down? You're talking about people losing hundreds of $1,000s in these investments that they made to buy a house. Yeah. Because you said it was going to be a great idea, and we can stop people from being evicted and stuff like that. It just doesn't make sense.
But, it's important to vocalize the local impact. One of the other strategies that we deployed in this campaign, and it was incredibly effective, is we got local retailers to join a lot of our lobbying team in these meetings and said, hey, this is how this is going to affect my business, my employees. I employ X number of people. This is what we do for the community. Talking about the charitable golf tournaments that folks do, the banquets, the scholarship funds that a lot of local retailers are involved in, and that side of the story. I work as a PCA lobbyist, and I really take pride in it. And what we were talking about in the past about learning those other aspects, but I am a paid employee. Your voice, Jack, as a retailer is more impactful. We can tee up legislation. We can fight legislation. We can help with the argument and the process and teach people how to communicate with government and Civics 101 and 201. But at the end of the day, we are going to be most effective when we're all working together to get something done, and having voices like yours, and also inform your consumers. That the 30,000 consumers that took part in our campaign, the PCA campaign against this tax, I credit a lot of the retailers. I had heard stories that we had retailers that at the point of purchase, they had people signing up and sending letters to their congressional members fighting this tax increase and things like that. We now have that database where we can fight the next issue a little bit stronger, but we have to continue to keep growing that grassroots, innovating and developing for the next challenges that we have yet ahead.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is mobilizing and pushing our resources to fight for us. I took my customer base. I would go on a limb and say they probably love me because one thing about Jack is always going to give it to you raw. Jack will tell you what it is. right? So if I tell my customer base, hey, or I tell my staff, hey, everybody that comes in, we need to give a spiel on how outdoor smoking is bullshit. Then guess what? We're gonna have somewhere in our verbiage where we can specify that, where we can, hey, sign this letter, actually go to this website, or on the receipt, hey, it'll be the website or something. Go here and sign a petition to get that way, because that's going to directly affect us, and it always starts with the small stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and like I've visited your shop, a couple years ago now. It seems like it was yesterday, but if you bring people and they get to see firsthand, if you walk into a cigar lounge, and I love whenever I travel anywhere, even if it's personal travel or professional travel, I'm always going to different cigar lounges. I want to see firsthand what's going on in the area. And that's something that next year Glynn is going to be doing on a regional basis, visiting shops, listening to firsthand stories, and that will inform our priorities. Every year we do a comprehensive 40 to 50 page strategy document of what is PCA going to fight for, what are they going to accomplish. And that's something that we begin drafting in October. We finalize in January, get several lines of input from key retailers, our board. And then I do an update on that in July after the trade show to see where our progress. And, overall, looking at what we wrote for 2021, very, very good news. And we have a lot of confidence that has built up. In Maryland, I got to work directly with that state association. We had weekly calls. There were a lot of challenges with masking policies related to COVID, the shutdowns. Also, they were successfully able to reduce the tax on pipe accessories, certain pipe accessories. So that's another win in a very challenging state.
Very much so. Very much so. Looking at PCA and kind of talking about PCA efforts, have PCA been able to secure the other retailers that were the big retailers that we were missing out on last show, and also in the fight as well? Were we able to regain their efforts to join the fight again and just come together as a more stronger industry?
Yeah, so that the manufacturers, I think you're referring to in that sense. With the manufacturers, we've had positive conversations with all of them recently. I was visiting and presenting at the TAA conference and had the opportunity to talk to a few directly about the efforts that we're doing on the advocacy front, the government affairs front. But in terms of the trade show itself, that's definitely something that Scott Pierce is working on, and Lisa Cox, who runs our trade show. They would be better informed to tell you kind of the inside scoop of that. That's a bit outside my wheelhouse.
I'm talking directly in the efforts to fight against all the taxation increases. I think that's one of the biggest things that was on the horizon, where a lot of people felt like the efforts of PCA was diminishing and yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. But I think we're starting to see a different side of that. So that's the part where have we been able to get them back on the bandwagon? Well, I wouldn't even say bandwagon, but back onto the fight for that matter.
Yeah, everybody has been communicating effectively. There was a period of time where there wasn't as much of that traffic. The communications traffic. But we're at the height of it, sharing intel, sharing what's going on. How do we defeat this thing? It was an all hands on deck approach. I mentioned we're working with NATO on certain things and other groups out there. We know that there were many people that took our talking points about the tax and reused them for their own purposes, retailers as well as manufacturers. And that's what it's about. If you want to have your logo on it, that's perfectly fine. We're not here to take credit for this. It's something that just as long as we don't have to, bear the burden of these taxes, everyone wins. We're thankful for the outpouring of retailers and manufacturers that got involved in that fight. And,
So,
and
Josh,
also
you've been doing
from a membership perspective, we are tracking ahead of last year for membership. Aaron Holland and Scott and the rest of the board of directors are doing really well on that side of things, where more people are understanding that, yes, the trade show was a key and is a key piece of the overall association. And I think over COVID, not having the trade show that 1 year, some people were like, all right, I'm not going to, join the association because I'm not going to the show. I think people are understanding that there are more things, products, education, and of course, advocacy. That's why you need to be involved with PCA every year, even in the most challenging years like the pandemic, so that we can continue operations. We're building back stronger. This year, as opposed to last year, we were down to Scott Pierce and I for a couple months. We got Glenn, we have Ryan, we have a consultant, Patrick Anderson, on government affairs. So I've personally seen that growth and that rebound occur already. And Greg Zimmerman, our president, as well as John Anderson, our past president, they've done a great job facing all of the different curveballs that have been thrown.
You gotta love these segments, right? Because you're always gonna get those one or two people that, I mean, quite frankly, has the right to talk about anything that's negatively happened. So one that I haven't been popping up on the screen, Kevin Page, I'm sure you're aware of him. Is wanting to know more about what happened in Connecticut, right? And how do we as a force, and I say force meaning cigar industry, cigar retailers, able to band together to help them out as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in Connecticut, they have Brian Shapiro, who heads up their state association, and Armando, their lobbyist. They do incredible work there. They've been in coordination with Glenn throughout this year on anything that has popped up in Connecticut. I know that Scott and Brian released a joint statement about smoking in Connecticut, that the belief of both PCA and the state association is that you can continue to enjoy premium cigars indoors. I would refer folks to that statement that was, posted on all our social media to find out more about that. But Glenn has called several Connecticut retailers that are hosting events and continue to enjoy smoking in the fantastic lounges that are there.
Speaking of that, Kevin, now that comes to mind, Pete out of Night Cigars, real good friend, owns Night Cigars out of Hartford, Connecticut. Sorry. I'm going to reach out to him and figure out what is going on as well. Real good friend of mine. So whatever it may be, I have specific emails. Like I said, Kevin, I'm gonna talk to Pete and figure out what's going on, and then hopefully I can put you guys in close communication so you guys can talk about what needs to be done. And Pete knows where I stand, and Pete knows how I get down, and me personally, I know how Josh get down as well. So understanding Josh and knowing Glenn, I don't personally believe that they are just out there hanging you like a dry fruit. That's just my personal opinion. But again, like I said, I'm gonna get you in contact with Pete out of Night Cigars, so y'all can talk about it. So we could probably have a thing to do. So I'm gonna put that on my calendar. So I have a lot of things I got to get done tomorrow. So I'm gonna put that on to do as well. Give me 1 second. Hey, Kevin, go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and follow us either at the Virtual Smoke Deck or Dapper D Cigars. That way we could I can be able to easily find you and don't have to go through, profile pictures and stuff like that. That way we have it. All right. So I have that for action. I'll get that done tomorrow and put it on my calendar to call Pete. Hey, Josh, I just want you to know, man, this is not just your fight. This is everybody's fight, right? You know, I have access to Jeff and Abe as well. You know, the powerful retailers in this industry, and you know, Kevin, I tell you what, man, I know those guys very well, and I know myself, and then I also know Pete, and I also know Josh and Glynn. So trust me, if there was something that they could do, I'm sure they would have done it. But again, we're all about figuring it out and trying to get the details, because there's always gray areas. There's always gray areas in everything that's proposed, man. So,
and Jack, with you know, the Florida situation with Abe and that, you know, I think with the beaches and parks thing, that's something we definitely want to mobilize everyone on. I will send you that link personally, so that you have the information on how to get that out there so that we can fight that properly.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll get it posted. I do a whole little flyer and stuff like that. Get the link put onto our Instagrams and all that stuff, so people can start clicking and just signing away. I can also put it on my receipts and also send it as a electronic receipt to my customers to get done as well. So yeah, let's definitely do that so we can be in the fight together, man.
Absolutely.
Well, Josh, you know, as always, it's always great to have you on, man. And I think you're a ball of just knowledge and, you know, just understanding, man. And, you know, politics can get very, very confusing. I know, you know, for some that it's not always the easiest topic to talk about, because there's so many intricate details that go into it, man. And I tell you, I think PCA has the right man for the job on the federal level. And I think also PCA has the right person for the job on the state advocacy level in Glynn Loope. So you guys keep doing it, man.
I miss Glynn. I'm hoping he gets better real soon.
Yeah, man.
We've been doing these tag team interviews, and I miss him. He always has a story that is from like 10 years ago.
And I always got the book.
Yeah, I mean, I told him when he first came on board, I'm like, Glynn, you really need to do the political history of premium cigars. Write that book. Like, I want to do just a foreword and be a footnote in your book, because he's been around it for so long. And you know, he's opened up so many avenues and doors for me in getting to meet people and, you know, really learning the ropes. So Glynn and I have a really good relationship.
Man, Glynn, I'm not going to put his personal business out, but you got to tell Glynn he's getting old. I'm going to tell him he's getting old. He'd be more careful, okay? Yeah, you know how it is when you get old. You just start falling everywhere. It's just, you get out of bed and fall. It's just don't make sense. Hey, we're just hoping when we get that old, man, we ain't just falling around, man. But you got to be more careful. Hey, Glynn, we love you, my brother, man. But we need you to get right. We need you on these PCA updates, because we're gonna do another one next quarter. So we definitely got to get that done, man. Josh, you've been on the virtual smoke deck before, man. One gem that you would like to drop on the people, go.
Oh, man. I would say, putting me on the spot for sure. I would say I'm going to give a prediction, and you can, we both like sports quite a bit. I think the last time I visited your shop, I was there for the UFC fight.
Yep.
And so I'm going to make two sporting predictions as my facts. I believe that Max Verstappen is going to win the Formula One this year. And I also believe that the Washington Capitals are going to win the Stanley Cup this year. So
I think you're a betting man with your predictions. So you might want to go ahead and put those into Vegas right now and see what you get out of those. I'm interested to see.
That's the crystal ball.
Hey, man, if we're ever in Quantico, man, we're definitely coming by Embassy Cigars, man. If you're in Quantico, stop by Embassy Cigars, get a great cigar, have a great conversation. You guys, you know, I call myself an upscale cigar lounge, right? But you guys, I think y'all are doing a little different than us, man. Y'all guys have everybody in suits. They tailor suits at that. You know, it looks real good, man. So
I'll tell you, no, I mean, your style, like the hats that you do, and I have a similar hat. I should have wore it for the program.
I need that wood brim.
Yeah, I love hats.
Oh my
But,
God.
I think that we definitely selectively marketed on that one. The photos that you saw are from the official birthday party of the Marine Corps. We had the cake cutting there, and it was kind of the after party for the Marine Corps. So as I mentioned, we're very, very military focused in that area. And I was actually out of town for work and was unable to make that one. But I hope to be able to go next year because I heard it was just a great time. And again, you saw a lot of the service people coming and enjoying cigars.
And then being in Quantico too, man, you gotta have some FBI friends. You know, you gotta have those FBI agents that come in every now and again, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Josh. Well, it was a pleasure, my brother. As always, you stay smoky, man, and be safe.
All right, take care, Jack. Thank you so much.
No problem, champ. Hey, one thing I love about the virtual smoke deck, and then just our interviews, especially on PCA updates, man, we get to dive in deeper into everything that we have going on as a culture, and kind of get into the meat and potatoes of that. And my friend like Kevin, we all can't win the fight, right? We all, I mean, if all the wars was won by the United States, where would we be today, right? There's some wars that we just don't win. There's certain battles that we don't win. But ultimately, we take the overall win and our learning experience. So, Kevin, I'm seriously going to contact Pete from Night Cigars and try to figure out what you guys can do. I know Pete's been around for a couple years now out in Hartford, Connecticut. So I definitely put you guys in place, man. Next week, we have Robert Caldwell. We tried to do an interview with Robert Caldwell a couple months ago, and we had glitches and all that stuff. So we have him coming onto the show this week, next week on Sunday, man. So that should be great. And then Rocky Patel following him, and then from there we're gonna take another hiatus for the remainder of the year, and then come back to you guys on January, action packed, ready to freaking go. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, and if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe, press that notification bell, give us a huge thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, go to Virtual Smoke Deck Live, follow, like. Also, if you're looking for another retail partner to trust and with your prized possession of cigars, man, check out DapperDCigars.com today. And also go follow us at Dapper D Cigars on Instagram and Facebook for all the updated content that we have to offer, and all our deals as well as events. If you don't know, Dapper D Cigars does host live music every Friday and Saturday. So every Friday and Saturday, you're able to come in and get some live entertainment here at Dapper D's, located in Jacksonville, Florida. With that being said, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment. Until next time, I'm gone.